Alrighty, we're going to be finishing up chapter 5 and then jumping into chapter 6. We're picking up where we left off last time, where Louis and his father are talking about him not being able to speak. He feels unhappy, but his dad is pretty optimistic about it. Alright, here we go. "Do not let an unnatural sadness settle over you, Louis," said the cob. "Swans must be cheerful, not sad, graceful, not awkward, brave, not cowardly. Remember that the world is full of youngsters who have some sort of handicap that they must overcome. You apparently have a speech defect. I am sure you will overcome it in time. There may even be some slight advantage at your age in not being able to say anything. It compels you to be a good listener. The world is full of talkers, but it is rare to find anyone who listens, and I assure you that you will pick up more information when you are listening than when you are talking." "My father does quite a lot of talking himself," thought Louis. "Some people," continued the cob, "go through life chattering and making a lot of noise with their mouth. They never really listen to anything. They are too busy expressing their opinions, which are often unsound or based on bad information. Therefore, my son, be of good cheer, enjoy life, learn to fly, eat well, drink well, use your ears, use your eyes, and I promise that someday I will make it possible for you to use your voice. There are mechanical devices that convert air into beautiful sounds. One such device is called a trumpet. I saw a trumpet once in my travels. I think you may need a trumpet in order to live a full life. I've never known a trumpeter swan to need a trumpet, but your case is different. I intend to get you what you need. I don't know how I will manage this, but in the fullness of time it shall be accomplished. And now that our talk has come to a close, let us return gracefully to the other end of the pond where your mother and your brothers and sisters await us." The cob turned and swam off. Louis followed. It had been an unhappy morning for him. He felt frightened at being different from his brothers and sisters. It scared him to be different. He couldn't understand why he had come into a world without a voice. Everyone else seemed to have a voice. Why didn't he? "Fate is cruel," he thought. "Fate is cruel to me." Then he remembered that his father had promised to help, and he felt better. Soon they joined the others, and everyone started water games, and Louis joined in, dipping and splashing and diving and twisting. Louis could splash water farther than any of the others, but he couldn't shout while he was doing it. To be able to shout while you were splashing water is half the fun. Alright, moving on to chapter 6, Off to Montana. At the end of the summer, the cob gathered his family around him and made an announcement. "Children," he began, "I have news for you. Summer is drawing to a close. Leaves are turning red, pink, and pale yellow. Soon the leaves will fall. The time has come for us to leave this pond. The time has come for us to go." "Go?" cried the cygnets, except Louis. "Certainly," replied their father. "You children are old enough to learn the facts of life, and the principal fact of life right now is, we can't stay in this marvelous location much longer." "Why not?" cried the cygnets, except Louis. "Because summer is over," said the cob, "and it is the way of the swans to leave their nesting site at summer's end to travel south to a milder place, where the food supply is good. I know you are all fond of this pretty pond, this marvelous marsh, these reedy shores, and restful retreats. You have found life pleasant and amusing here. You have learned to dive and swim under water. You've enjoyed your daily recreational trips when we formed in line, myself in front swimming gracefully, like a locomotive, and your charming mother bringing the year like a caboose. Day long you have listened and learned. You have avoided the odious otter and the cruel coyote. You have listened to the little owl that says, 'Go, go, go.' You have heard the partridge say, 'Quit, quit.' At night you have dropped off to sleep to the sound of frogs and voices of the night. But these pleasures and pastimes, these adventures, these games and frolics, these beloved sights and sounds must come to an end. All things come to an end. It is time for us to go." "Where will we go?" cried the cygnets, except Louis. "We will go... Where will we go? Coho, coho! Where will we go? Coho, coho!" "We will fly south to Montana," replied the cob. "What is Montana?" asked the cygnets, except Louis. "What is Montana, banana? Banana? What is Montana, banana, banana?" "Montana," said the father, "is a state of the Union, and there in a lovely valley surrounded by high mountains are the Red Rock Lakes. which nature has designed especially for swans. In these lakes, you will enjoy warm water arising from hidden springs. Here, ice never forms no matter how cold the nights. In the Red Rock Lakes, you will find other trumpeter swans, as well as lesser waterfowl, the geese and the ducks. There are few enemies, no gunners, plenty of muskrat houses, free grain, games every day. What more can Swan ask in the long, long cold of winter? Louis listened to all this in amazement. He wanted to ask his father how they would learn to fly and how they would find Montana even after they learned to fly. He began to worry about getting lost. But he wasn't able to ask any questions. He just had to listen. One of his brothers spoke up. "Father," he said, "you said we would fly south. I don't know how to fly. I've never been up in the air." "True," replied the cob. "But flying is largely a matter of having the right altitude, plus, of course, good wing feathers. Flying consists of 3 parts. First, the takeoff, during which there's a lot of fuss and commotion, a lot of splashing and rapid beating of the wings. Second, the ascent, or gaining of altitude. This requires hard work and fast wing action. Third, the leveling off. The steady elevated flight, high in air, wings beating, slower now, beating strongly and regularly, carrying us swiftly and surely from zone to zone as we cry, 'Coho, coho,' with all the earth stretched out far below." "It sounds very nice," said the cygnet, "but I'm not sure I can do it. I might get dizzy way up there if I look down." "Don't look down," said the father. "Look straight ahead, and don't lose your nerve. Besides, swans do not get dizzy. They feel the wonderful in the air. They feel exalted." "What does exalted mean?" asked the cygnet. "It means you will feel strong, glad, firm, high, proud, successful, satisfied, powerful, and elevated, as though you had conquered life and a high purpose." Louis listened to all this with great attention. The idea of flying frightened him. "I won't be able to say coho," he thought. "I wonder whether a swan can fly if he has no voice and can't say coho." "I think," said the cob, "the best plan is for me to demonstrate flying to you. I will make a short exhibition flight while you watch. Observe everything I do. Watch me pump my neck up and down before the takeoff. Watch me test the wind by turning my head this way and that. The takeoff must be into the wind. It's much easier that way. Listen to the noise I make trumpeting. Watch how I raise my great wings. See how I beat them furiously as I rush through the water with my feet going like mad. This frenzy will last for a couple of 100 feet, at which point I will suddenly be airborne. My wings will be chopping the air with terrific force, but my feet no longer touching the water. Then watch what I do. Watch how I stretch my long, elegant neck out ahead of me until it has reached its full length. Watch how I retract my feet and allow them to stream out behind full length until they extend beyond my tail. Hear my cries as I gain the upper air and start trumpeting. See how strong and steady my wing beat has become. Then watch me bank and turn, set my wings and glide down. And just as I reach the pond again, watch how I shoot my feet out in front of me and use them for the splashdown, as though they were a pair of water skis. Having watched all this, you can join me and your mother too, and we will make a practice flight together until you get the hang of it. Then tomorrow we will do it again, and instead of returning to the pond, we will head south to Montana. Are you ready for my exhibition flight?" "Ready!" cried all the cygnets except Louis. Very well, here I go," cried the cob. As the others watched, he swam downward to the end of the pond, turned, tested the wind, pumped his neck up and down, trumpeted, and after a rush of 200 feet got into the air and began gaining altitude. His long white neck stretched out ahead, his big black feet stretched out behind him. His wings had great power. The beat slowed as he settled into sustained flight. All eyes watched. Louis was more excited than he had ever been. "I wonder if I can really do it," he thought. "Suppose I fail? Then the others will fly away, and I will be left here all alone in this deserted pond, with winter approaching, and no father, no mother, no brothers, no sisters, no food to eat when the pond freezes over. I will die of starvation. I'm scared." In a few minutes, the cob glided down out of the sky and skidded to a stop on the pond. They all cheered, "Go-ho, go-ho, beep, 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 beep," all but Louis. He had to express his approval simply by beating his wings and splashing water to his father's face. "All right," said the cob. "You've seen how it's done. Follow me and we'll give it a try. Extend yourselves to the utmost. Do everything in the proper order. Never forget a minute that you are swans, and therefore excellent flyers, and I'm sure all will be well." They all swam downward to the end of the pond. They pumped their necks up and down. Louis pumped harder than any of the others. They tested the wind. They turned their heads this way and that. Suddenly the cob signaled for the start. There was a tremendous commotion, wings beating, feet racing, water churned to a froth, and presently, wonder of wonders, there were 7 swans in the air. 2 pure white ones and 5 dirty gray ones. The takeoff was accomplished, and they started gaining altitude. Louis was the first of the young cygnets to become airborne, ahead of all his brothers and sisters. The minute his feet lifted the clear of the water, he knew he could fly. It was a tremendous relief as well as a splendid sensation. "Boy," he said to himself, "I never knew flying could be such fun. This is great. This is sensational. This is superb. I feel exalted. I'm not dizzy. I'll be able to go to Montana with the rest of my family. I may be defective, but at least I can fly." The 7 great birds stayed aloft about half an hour, then returned to the pond, the cob still in the lead. They all had to drink to celebrate the successful flight. Next day they were up early. It was a beautiful fall morning, with mist rising from the pond and trees shining in all colors. Toward the end of the afternoon, as the sun sank low in the sky, the swans took off from the pond and began their journey to Montana. "This way!" cried the cob. He swung to his left and straightened out on the southerly course. The others followed, trumpeting as they went. As they passed over the camp where Sam Beaver was, Sam heard them and ran out. He stood watching as they grew smaller and smaller in the distance and finally disappeared. Here's the picture of the swans, and let me quickly give you your question. So what did Louis fear would happen if he couldn't fly? What were his worries? What was, think about why, what kind of stuff that he was thinking about if he didn't know how to fly or couldn't fly. The second question is, how did the cygnets learn to fly? So we do know that they actually ended up learning how to fly, as you can see in this picture. How did they learn how to do this? Basically, who taught them? All right, PCs.